You're back with your girls, Meesa and Meah from You Already Know. It's M&M Live Radio. It's the moment you all have been waiting for.
That's right, Meesa. He's an OG in this game called hip hop, all while being unashamed forever. With his fresh passion and renewed creative vision, he's making it known that through life's struggles and hardships, it is possible to persevere because he has done it himself. His new album, Never Fold, is out right now. We're going to talk to the genius behind the music right now. We want to welcome a Reach Records recording artist, Tedashii, to the show. What's going on, T Dot?
Yeah, what's up, y'all?
What's
How y'all
going?
doing?
We're doing good. Listen, man, we're so glad to have you on the show. I know the last time we all got the chance to talk was on the red carpet at the Devil Wars. That was in 2016, and you had your son with
Right.
you. It was a great time. But we know so much has happened
Yeah,
since then, and we're so happy to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us here on M&M Live Radio.
yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Most deaf, most deaf. But first, I have to say this. We are so proud of you, Tedashii. I mean, with having a number one song on Billboard, the
Yeah,
success of a new album, you and the whole Reach Records squad have been making some major moves and taking some big wins. And one of those recent big moves has been adding a new artist to the label. Reach Records
hmm
just announced adding one day to the roster, and it's been dope seeing all
yeah,
of you guys support her in this moment. But now you've been with Reach since the beginning, and I was kind of curious when I was asking Mia what we should ask Tedashii. This was definitely the question. I wanted to know what was it like when you got signed to the label?
yeah. Well, first off, having one day on the label is huge for
Yeah.
so many reasons. But probably the biggest reason is she's super dope. Like I don't know. I know people know who she is. Some of them very much are aware, but there are just some who, for the first time last night, after we announced her signing to the label, who were like, "Who is she now?" And but she raps, and just asking questions because they never heard of her, and their introduction to her because she released a new single last night that cats need to go get.
Yeah.
Um, but she that new introduction for them was mind blowing because she's just that good. So I'm super excited about it. But I will say my moment of signing was very different. There was no it was at the beginning, so there was no crowd, there was no concert, there was no
Wow.
tour, there was no big moment. It was really Lecrae and my boy Ben, who runs the label, kind of sitting with me at the house going, yo, you need to do this. This is going to be great. Because I didn't want to rap. I like doing ministry, but I
Wow.
was cool on rap. I was like, no, I'm good on rap, man. It was like, but you can rap. You should do it. And I was like, that's not a reason, a good reason, just because I can do something, doesn't mean I should go do it. I enjoy doing ministry. I'm
Hmm.
on staff at the church. I'm about to get my degree. Like, I'm good, guys, thanks. And they were like, just try it. And so I sat with my elders at the church. I prayed with my then fiance, and we talked through it. And before long, I was like, "Oh, I'm I guess I'll do it." They were like, "Give it a year, and let's see what's up." So when I signed, it was with this idea of we'll see how this goes. But nowadays, cat signing, and it's like, really, I get to sign, and I'm going, this is crazy. So it's a different world.
Wow, that's
Wow.
so interesting. Even knowing that you didn't even this, you thought that this wasn't even for you, and to fast forward years later and to see where you are now. Wow, that's crazy.
hmm
I had no
It's
idea.
crazy when God puts the right people in your path.
Right. Shout out to Ben and
That's it.
Lecrae for
That's
pushing
it.
that envelope, man, because we would not have the T dot
Right.
we have today. But listen, T dot, I'm not gonna
Right.
lie to you. I've been waiting for you to drop an album, man. It's like you and Trip. I've just been waiting for y'all to drop. And I knew something
Yeah.
was coming because you would always post on Instagram using the hashtag neverfold. And I'm like,
Yeah.
he's teasing
Yeah.
us, man. He's doing something.
Right.
He's up to
Yeah. Yeah.
something. I
Yeah.
know it. So I know the message Neverfold has been on your mind for a while. So why has Neverfold been so close to your heart, and why make it the centerpiece of the album?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. Man, really, there's just for in my life and relatives and close family friends, and there's just people who's had to face so much adversity, trials and tribulations, and I realized this is really what life feels like for people. I might my situation because of the season I'm in may look different than someone else's, but the more and more I live, the longer the Lord lets me be here on earth, the more I start to realize, man, there are so many people experiencing so many moments of hardship
Yeah.
and they want to quit. They want to give up. They want to throw in the towel. and you know, it can run the gambit, whether it's just, you know, school is stupid, or or like, you know what, I don't like being married, or I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of my church anymore, or you know, it goes even harder from there. Of, you know what, I lost my mom, or I'm having suicidal thoughts,
Yeah.
whatever. It just runs the gambit of people dealing with life in real ways. And for me, I know I faced some of those moments of adversity, and the word that kept coming into my heart was never fold.
Mm.
And so I did a song called Diamonds. Diamonds was one of the first songs I recorded. And in the song, I wrote Never Fold. And the label was like, that seems to be who you are right now in this season.
Yeah.
And the more and more they said it, the more and more I wanted to talk about it. So it just kind of birthed out of that real place.
Yeah, and it seems like the more and more you talked about it, the more you embodied it. Like I said, with you, it being so heavy on your heart, I could just tell through like
Yeah,
you just post and just seeing things. Even with seeing you post, even the diamond emoji. Now that you
Oh
say the
yeah.
diamond song, it's
yeah,
so interesting. Even through social media, it breathed through you, and even hearing the album, it's all over, and now it's on everyone at this
Yeah.
moment. But listen, guys, your girls M&M are hanging out with Reach Records recording artist Tedashii. We're talking
Yes.
about his new album, Never Fold. Now, Tedashii, I was actually listening to one of your past albums, Below Paradise, the other day. And then right
yeah,
after that, I listened to Never Fold, and it just seems like listening to it, it was just two different Tedashiis in the moment. And it's
yep.
like it was one Tedashii in Below Paradise, and then like a different one, two totally different spaces, two different men at the time. So how different is the Below Paradise Tedashii from the current Never Fold T Dot right now?
Oh, listen, night and day,
Mm.
night and day. There's still there's still similarity between the two because both are dealing with the hardships of life, the fact of loss and grief and pain and suffering. But one has the perspective of what it feels like to be in the midst of the storm, um, and all of the angst and frustration and disappointment that the storm is there. This current one would never fold is more like, oh, it's still here, but I'm still going. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna stop.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the idea of it. I never wanted to, like I tell everybody when I engage their whatever they're dealing with, I never want to belittle your pain. I never want to belittle your situation by throwing the band-aid of niceties or some sort of idea of placating to what you're going through just to kind of give you something, like for example someone would say, sorry you're going through that, man, look, but God is good, bro.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
Right.
I know that, but but that doesn't mean I can't hurt. And so um I just wanted to be honest with the fact that pain is real, people deal with it, and I want to make it front and center that it's real. However, here's perspective from one angle, and here's perspective from a different angle.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's night and day, but they're definitely related.
And I love that where we may be bent but not broken perspective that you give us. Because, I mean,
Yes.
everybody goes through
Yeah.
so many different things in their life. Like you mentioned, I mean, whether it's, the passing of a loved one, or you just kind of going through certain things in your personal life, or, relationships, what have you. I like the fact that you're such an honest artist, and it's really appreciated, because when you can
No,
show
thank you.
people that you can be on stage, you can turn up, you can have so much energy.
But you still go through life.
Yes, yes. It's
But you
I really
still
tip my
go through
hat off.
life. What a great way to say that.
Right, right, most definitely. And I also saw an open discussion, you and some friends of yours, Sam Collier, about perseverance, mental health, and so much more. And if
Yeah.
you haven't seen it, y'all, please watch it. It's such a needed conversation, especially in this day and time. But why was that roundtable discussion so important for you to share, and to have your peers share, and for the world to hear?
Yeah. So probably a year or so after losing my son, I
Hmm.
went to counseling. Reluctantly. Like, I don't want to do that. That's stupid. And
Right.
just being honest. And then I went, and I tell everybody counseling saved my sanity, and it saved my marriage. It saved my family. So for me, it was the start of a journey into pursuing mental health. It was a thought into, it was a moment in pursuing emotional health. And so I definitely was fighting to invest in my life spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
but mentally and emotionally, I was bankrupt.
Wow.
And there was nothing left to deposit to the world. And it was in those dark moments, those empty moments, those lonely moments where I felt like Satan's lies were the strongest.
Yeah.
And and it was only the words of a wise, very, very, I mean, you cannot belittle wisdom. Wisdom is a, it just was, I was blessed to find wise people to speak into my life and afford me the opportunity to see life from a different lens and to be encouraged to see that God's will is not at loss because of because you are. And so in that moment, I just started to pursue it. When it was time to do the album, it was an opportunity for me to kind of um, fight for this group of people to get together. So Benjamin Wills, he's a director. He was the principal as well, but now he's just the director of an inner city private school in Atlanta in English Avenue that we work with
Okay.
called Peace Preparatory Academy, and it is a it's a private faith based school in the hood in the inner city, and it's based on donations that people give so that the kids that live in this area who haven't had a school in their community in over 60 years can actually go down the road to a quality education, and get loved on like they would be, um, as a part of a family of believers.
That's
And
awesome.
so I had to have him in the room. So Benjamin was there, Shanti Das, who is a legend in hip hop in her own right. But then beyond that, she started this organization called Silence the Shame, and just focused on mental health and how we as people, especially those who exist in a sense of celebrity, will sometimes feel shame and not be honest about what we're dealing with. So I had to have her there. I wanted DJ Wado as an OG, he's a legend,
Yeah. Yeah.
in what we do, and I had to have him in the room. Wado has known us. He's been following Regis, story from the beginning, and so I just knew, and I knew Wado has been going through, like, he's gone through real life. So I was like, I need you in the room.
Yeah.
And then me and Cray jumped in as well. We both had our own issues, and like Cray was one of the first to be vocal in our spaces when it came to social justice, civil rights, those type of things, and to see the backlash publicly. I mean, everything he went through was very, very public for people to see,
Right.
and it was hard to watch as a friend to go, can't believe you got to endure this. Like, what can we do? And so I wanted him there to share his story. And then Sam's just a homie, and he's great at what he does. So I was like, can you moderate? Can you host? Can you facilitate this conversation? And he came in and crushed it. So I wanted those people in the room, specifically, but with their own expertise, to kind of speak around the idea of perseverance, because in each moment, all of these people have to choose to persevere through what they're dealing with, right? So that was kind of the motivation of it all. Just man, I wanted people to I wanted to start the conversation around emotional and mental health, and then I wanted to give people room to recognize perseverance has to happen no matter what you do. I don't care if you're a teacher, I don't care if you're a rap artist, I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom, I don't care if you're the person who's helping to run the bus line at your school, whatever it is. Like, you need to focus on not just what it is that God has done spiritually, but that He's also given promises to us when it comes to mental health and emotional health as well. So
Wow. Listen, I got to say this. Watching that dialogue was so profound. And thank you so much for putting that out there.
yeah,
One thing I love is seeing people be so transparent. And for the fact that, of course, people get caught up, okay, yeah, he's an artist, everything's fine. He's inspiring us. But the fact that you wanted to open up your heart and were able to push the people around you to open up and share their hearts, it was very inspiring, motivating. And it was
Much needed.
it was a blessing, me,
Yeah.
honestly, being able to hear all of you guys share your hearts. And so thank you guys so much for that. It was honestly a joy to listen and a joy to watch. And I know everyone's enjoying and loving the album, and they're excited to see you perform these songs on tour. And I know it's been just announced that the Unashamed tour is now hitting the West Coast. Now, how excited are you to hit the road again and travel the West Coast
yo,
with your Reach Records fam?
Yo, I was so happy when they did that. I was like, yo, why are we not going west? This is weird.
Listen,
I
I
don't
saw some angry
understand.
fans in the comments,
Oh
T-Dot.
yes.
They was like, man, y'all better come over on this side.
You can't mess with a Reach
Hey,
Records fan.
so I don't know if I'm the only one who does this, but if I get a text like from, like you get a text from your mom or one of your friends, you read it, but you hear their voice when you read it.
Right.
And so I read comments, but based on how the comments were written and just experience and knowing some of the people, I could hear their voice when they were saying it. So when somebody said, "Oh, that's how you gonna do Denver," or "That's how you gonna do us," I was like, "Yo, they salty for the real." It was so
Right.
funny though. I felt bad, but it was hilarious. "Oh, that's how you doing us." I was like, "Yo," so I was already excited because I love it. I love that part of it. See, I'm biracial, right? So I'm half black, half Polynesian.
Hmm.
My family's Samoan, and so being Polynesian and living in the South, especially the Southeast, everybody be like, "So what are you?" Because
Right.
you look black, but what are you?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
when I go west, which is where all the Polynesians live, there's never confusion. It just feels good to go on stage and somebody see you for real. And so I'm
Wow.
like, yes. So I always love going west. Like I'm from the South. I grew up in Texas, so I get it, and I experienced it most of my life. So I am half black, so I get love, of course. But when I go west and it's a room full of like Polynesians and black people, it's a different
It's
world.
a
So I
family
love going
reunion.
west. It
Wow.
is, man. It is, and no, like when I go, it don't matter who you are. Polynesians are just family oriented people. So I've gone to shows before and showed up, and people showed up with like full 3-course meals. Like, here you go, welcome, we love you. And it's just like, what is happening right now? And they'll do that for anybody, not just me because of being on stage on a microphone, but anybody Polynesian that shows up, they like, yeah, we family. Here's some love, and so, like me and Lecrae we were in we were somewhere on the West Coast, and we walked into a restaurant, and this lady walked up with her husband, and she was Polynesian. Her husband was white, and he came over, and he was like, "My wife's a little shy, but are you Polynesian?" Yeah. She's like, "What are you doing here?" And I told her the whole story, and then they said, "Okay, well, good to meet you." Sat down, and then when they got ready to leave, like 10 minutes later, she stopped by and like gave me $100 bill,
Oh,
and was
that's
like,
Wow.
love.
tell,
That's
and she was
real
like,
love, T-Dot.
right, right. She was like, tell your dad we're taking care of you. And I was
Wow.
like, what? And so I called my dad, like, hey, look, this just happened. And he was like, well, good. Now here's what you do with that. So I spent 20 for me and Cray, and then the rest of it I found another Polynesian dude and gave it to him.
Wow.
So he
Amen.
was like, that's just what we do.
Listen, man, black people, we gotta step it up.
Yeah. She like,
Listen.
step it up. Next time I'm out in public, one of y'all give me
I'm
$100. You know what I
saying
mean?
though. I'm saying. Help your brothers and sisters out.
I
That's
know.
amazing,
I
man. That's
need gas
awesome.
money, man. That's what I need. But man, I'm so happy and I'm so excited for you to experience that, as well as all of the West Coast Reach Records fans. Listen, they're coming to a
They're
city
coming
near
to
you.
you.
They are coming, so make sure you get your tickets ASAP because you will not
Yeah.
be disappointed. But thanks again for
Don't
hanging out with
sleep.
us here on this week's show. But before you go, T Dot, give everybody your social media so that they can stay connected with you.
Yeah. So everything, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, it's all the same at Tedashii, Tedashii. Tedashii is really a real name. It's a Japanese name. My mom's just a little hood, and she spelled it a little differently, but it's cool.
That's the black
I
in you.
dealt. It's the black in me. I dealt with that. I dealt with that as a kid. I'm good. So, but yeah, at Tedashii, the music, the new album, Never Fold. It's everywhere. Spotify, Apple Music, it don't matter, Tidal, Google Play, Amazon Music, it's everywhere. You can buy it on iTunes, of course. But Neverfold is here, man. I'm excited about it.
Listen, man, be sure to follow Tedashii on all social media. And also, like he said, go get his new album. It's called Never Fold. It's his best work to date, man. Listen, go get it. It's sold everywhere digitally.
Yes, and listen, man, thank you for being a pioneer, for being so transparent, and just being you. You know, we love you here and always know that you have our support here on M&M Live Radio. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Man, thank you. You got it, sis.
Anytime, anytime. Now, to all of our listeners out there, keep it locked where you got it because you're about to hear some music from Tedashii right here, right now.
That's right. Here's Get Out My Way by Tedashii featuring Lecrae from his new album, Never Fold. Turn this one all the way up and we'll be right back on You Already Know.
It's M&M Live Radio.